Okay. What happens when a single blank space on a page reveals a lifetime of hidden conditioning? Good question, huh? My guest today, Michelle Dovey, is a professional artist she's really well known for painting trees. But when she found herself in Florence sketching Apollo on the first day of a drawing trip, she saw something shocking, not on the statue, but on her own paper. She had unconsciously left out a crucial part of the figure, like a huge empty space where, did you just say, what do you say, where his genitals, where his penis? She didn't draw his penis,
You
yes.
can say genitals, penis, or cock, depending on what you feel comfortable.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You say cock because is that like a New Zealand thing?
It's like an additional level of de-shaming thing for myself because I didn't grow up using that word. So it's like, we can go scientific, we can go genital, it's like there's levels.
No, I'm going to go with cock. Yeah. She didn't draw his cock, people. The blank space cracked open something deep. It made her realize how much shame around bodies and nudity had shaped her art and how much you were holding yourself back. That moment launched a radical new project drawing, which is 100 Naked Men. Everything, no holding back. And what was meant to be a quiet personal exploration over 10 years became an audacious year-long commitment to fully embracing your artistic truth. Oh my God, I just have goosebumps right now. Now at 52, she's newly divorced, maybe not after this podcast, and stepping boldly into, meaning you're going to not remarry your ex-husband, but like maybe find new love. She's stepping into midlife. Michelle is redefining not just her art, but herself. And one of the things too, and Michelle, welcome to Curveball.
Thank you.
Michelle, welcome to Curveball.
Yes.
One of the things that I really appreciate what you're doing is we're in like a very strange, I think men are in a really, something is happening with and to men in society too, where I'm not quite sure exactly what's happening. There's been such this proliferation of body acceptance and everything for women. So if you go into a store or pick up any sort of fashion catalog, it's going to be skinny, regular, plus size, including plus size mannequins, but men still have like one shape, fit and strong, And so I just feel like I just am so grateful that you're doing this work. So I want to go back to this time. So you're in Florence. Like, tell me about that moment when you looked at it, you're just like, wait, I'm missing something.
Well, it was crazy. First morning, I'd taken myself on this drawing trip as a little bit of self-love.
Yeah.
Sorry, my voice is a bit croaky. And I just had my sketchbook out and I thought, here, okay, right, Apollo, I'm going to start with you. And it was like, head, ears, nose, feet, fingers, everything. And I thought I was done. And then I looked down and there's this space in the middle. And I'm like, what? That is so crazy. Like, I've had kids. I'm 52. I've done tons of life drawing.
Right.
What happened? And I was like, is it possible? Can it actually be possible that there's some internalized shame around not looking at cocks? And I was like, maybe. I thought.
So it is like a huge question. That's a really deep question. And that's the kind of question that sticks with you for a while. So is it like this?
I was just like, what? And I kind of carried on because I'm like in the Uffizi. I've just been queuing outside for an hour and I want to go and see Botticelli and whatever. So every time I came up to a statue, I'd be like, right, now I'm drawing everything. But I left there that morning and I was like, what am I going to do here? And I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down to the square and there's this huge statue of Michelangelo's David. It's that 5 meter high statue.
Yes.
And I thought, I'm going to go and draw David's cock all afternoon. I'm going to see how that feels, actually. So I was sitting there. It was so funny because I was sitting there drawing.
Because I'm sure people are looking over your shoulder.
You know what?
I wonder what she's doing.
The Italian mama and her daughters that were sitting there having lunch with me, the girls were like walking back and forth, looking at what I was doing. And then these tourists would kind of come up to me, bound up to me, because, it looked like I was drawing looked like I'm doing a very classical drawing. And I've got a whole cross-hatching technique. And they were bound up to me to say, wow, what are you doing? And then they'd see what I was doing and go, oh. And it was just so funny. And I was like, it wasn't just, I was finding it very hard to draw that part of the body. And I thought that's true. I have not I've never really done a study of this before. I remember my tutors, you had to get hands right, you got to get faces right, but I've never had anyone ever say to me, you need to get those cocks right, Michelle.
So then was that just mainly like you did not draw the cocks, or that you like also like if you were doing, form drawing of women, you would also leave out the vagina?
Well, I think there's a way that I've looked at some of my early drawings, and there's a way that I just
Yeah.
did something kind of gestural and maybe a shadow.
Right.
Or I think that quite often in the life drawing room with our nudes, with the idealized classical nude, there's a whole lot of ways that you can draw a body where you're shielding that part of the body.
Shame sometimes is so deeply ingrained, like that it comes out like that. Like you can be in this situation, then you ask the question, which I love when you ask the big questions because you will always eventually get the answer, And so and I loved it that it happened so quickly for you that you were like, and then you took action on it immediately. So shame can sometimes be so ingrained with us. So like, where do you think that came from? Because it's something that you said, I realized like, I've been like, you said something when we were on our pre-conversation about your gaze. What did you say about your gaze? My
Okay,
gaze
so
wasn't.
I didn't realize until that moment that my gaze was edited. I didn't
Oh my
realize
God.
I
Yes.
was looking. I didn't realize. I thought I was an artist who could do anything. Because I have done series of naked dancing women. There's been pictures of naked people, but I didn't realize that exercise showed me that I've got a capacity to see some things and not others. And I didn't know that was true.
Right.
And I wonder about
Sure.
that.
Like I'm like that with my finances. Like I can go in and pull all of my bank statements for my accountant and never look at one number. My husband, I'm like, I don't even know how I do that, but I can do that.
It's
So
true, isn't
I
it?
can
Right?
see, yeah, totally. It's like you see what you see, and then when you see it, sometimes I'm just like genitals are not the best looking things, So you're just like, okay, so
Well, I'm
sort of
wondering about
ironic,
that. I'm
really.
wondering, like, because
Oh my gosh.
some women say to me, but why do you want to draw men? Their bodies are so ugly. And I'm like, are they? Or have you just been taught they are? Like, how do you get that idea that something is beautiful
Right.
or not or ugly? We don't,
Right.
like, that's a socially
Right.
conditioned thing.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. So then, okay, so then you're really like now you're drawing. Okay, so I want to go back to your drawing David's wanks, and you're just like these people are coming by. How did that feel for you at that moment? You're just like, okay, I just love. Are you wired that way that you're just like, I have this realization, I'm going to take immediate action, or was this uncharacteristic for you?
I think I do take immediate action, but usually quietly. I have
Mm.
I have a kind of rebellious part. But I have a real good
I
girl
can tell
part.
by your I can tell by your jacket.
But I have a good girl part. I'm a good girl.
Yes.
If anything, I'm a good girl
Yes.
gone rebel. I grew. Yeah, it was like, what is going on? And when I first had that idea, I think I'm going to draw 100 men. It was going to be a secret project. It was just going to be a personal project.
Mm.
That's how, I was going to take action, but I was going to be quiet about it.
Right. I think that this is just such a beautiful thing because I'm just so curious about the people you're drawing, like the conversations you have. How, like, my husband and I did this like weekend, like marriage retreat thing, and there was a sex therapist there, which was really interesting because I always think, again, society, that men are total horn dogs, that they're always like ready to go. And what was so interesting is so many of the other men, like in this retreat, this was so interesting to me. They look at movies and feel like they have to, like, sex should be like in the movies.
Yeah.
So that, and the men way more than women. I was so surprised by that. But how many men had like I just thought as insecure, it was so surprising. It was so eye opening. So,
Yeah.
what is it like to work with a man and create, like, seriously, the kind of space where they're going to get nude in front of you? And then what? Do you chit chat? Do some talk? Some are quiet. Some are like, tell me about that experience. It must
Um,
be, and And how many people have you drawn so far?
I think I'm up to 42.
42. Amazing. Amazing.
I so that I time it so we have 2.5 hours together.
Okay.
And what I was doing was we'd talk for as long as we needed to talk, because I'd kind of quite like it if they got to the point where they felt comfortable.
Right.
Although I have realized recently that can be an hour, and then that's like an hour of potential drawing time. So I have to manage it a bit. And more recently I have said, like I've allowed about 20 minutes to talk, but I try to give more information so that I try to answer more questions and create a feeling of safety by giving them a walkthrough before they even get to the room. So, our session's 2.5 hours. I'm going to allow 20 minutes to chat. Then I'd like you to get ready and sit on the sofa. I'm going to be here standing, drawing with my big bit of paper, and try and create safety that way.
Are you behind your easel so you're sort of peeking out every so often, or can they see would they be able to see what you're looking like when you're doing your
They can't see what I'm looking at, but they can see me looking straight at them. So my easel is here and I'm looking at them. Yeah. And yeah.
I've never wanted to be drawn naked, but now I sort of do. That must just be the most interesting, like the level of intimacy, but then it's platonic intimate. Like, what does that feel like? Is it intimacy the right word, or is it just like, what is it that you're experiencing?
I think it's really intimate. I think it's really intimate. And I think there's a journey that they mostly go on where they come in going, some part of them went, oh, they saw my post and they were like, oh, I quite like that. And another part of them was like, whoa. But, that's normal. They wake up going, oh my God. Or they arrive and they go, I'm not, they're kind of like half yes, half no. Well, they are a yes, but they're like, it's a bit scary. But then by the time we've talked, and then by the time they're sitting, by the time they've taken their clothes off and realized it's safe, they mostly absolutely love being seen. And then
amazing. Has anybody ever fallen asleep?
Yep.
Amazing. That's, I think, the ultimate sign of safety is if you'll sleep.
Sign of safety, yeah. I think it's been quite profound. I didn't realize that part was going to happen, but it's been profound for some of them.
Tell me more about that. Like when they see the drawn piece, tell me what that. Well, like if you're able to share, I mean, I obviously want to respect all privacy, but if there's like a story that really sticks out to you, like I would love to hear like someone who was just like, amazing.
Well, there's the ones who are like, had a sense of body shame, felt like they weren't okay for one reason or another. Quite a few of them are like, oh, I used to be in better shape, but I'm not now. They're apologetic. I'm like, you know what, dude, it's all good. It's all good here. I like drawing. Personally like drawing bellies. I find bellies are quite interesting. So I don't have a problem with anything.
Really? What do you like about the belly?
I think it's just a really interesting shape. I like everything. I like tattoos, bellies, body hair. I just find it all really interesting. I find the whole thing fascinating. And then, but even like someone had a total revelation. A few people said to me, we think like this guy said, I think you've drawn my cock bigger than it is. And I was like, I don't think I have. And then he realized that he was always looking down and I was looking across. And, from where he was looking, it was smaller. And from where I was looking, it was bigger. I mean, that
oh my gosh.
He was just like, it was a mind blow for him that moment.
That's incredible. That reminds me of a Dove soap has this really amazing ad campaign. It's called the Campaign for Real Beauty. And they did this project where they had women describe themselves to a police sketch artist.
Yeah.
And then they would show them the pictures. And these women, the way they described themselves were heavier, older, blemished. I mean, it was absolutely shocking to see. And then the police sketch artists couldn't see what they looked like either. So they were like sort of doing it both blind. And it's just so interesting how we do have that. Like, I was just having this moment looking at myself the other day, just because I've gained some weight. I'm just like, ugh. And then I'm just like, because we were also talking, the body is just such this marvel of engineering. And even though I'm carrying around, like, even I can carry around a little more weight, my body's okay, we're going to do it. We got you, girl. If you really sort of turn it around from that into having such an appreciation for my body to even gain weight, create fat. Like, I just think it's just like I'm chemistry.
But
right
also,
now.
I mean, just saying that, if you were drawn by someone or if you were photographed, if you got to see yourself, I think the point about being drawn is they get to see
Right.
themselves through my eyes. And a few recently have said they were kind of knocked out by how sovereign they were, just like, wow. And what they were saying was, wow, they were seeing themselves through my eyes, and they were seeing themselves in a bit more of their own sovereignty and awesomeness. And
yeah.
so I think, that something extraordinary can happen. Like that whole thing of being inside the jar. You can't see when you're inside the jar. You can't see what we look like. So maybe it's not so bad. But we need to look at ourselves through these other eyes. I mean, it does start me off thinking, I mean, I don't know if I do this, but imagine some sort of workshop where we all start off drawing a model and then drawing ourselves and then drawing each other and having people, because it's like they honestly experience so much freedom and unshaming with their body by being seen and witnessed.
Yes. There used to be this show on in the UK called How to Look Good Naked.
Oh.
And it was sort of like it's sort of like a what not to wear kind of show.
Yeah.
And so you would be in a bra and undies, and there would be women from like a size 0 all the way up to plus size. And then you would go to where you thought your body was. So like a woman would be like a size 4, and she would go stand with like the people who are size 12. Like that was her body image of herself. So she could hardly believe that she was like with these people who she considered thin, because she did not see herself that way.
Yeah.
Do you think men, like, now that you've worked with 42 different men, like when you meet, I just want to also ask, does it change like when you meet men too? But what have you learned about men?
Well, like a lot of softness, really, because they have a lot of, there's a lot going on. And I would say there is this idea that they've got it all sorted, haven't they? But there's a lot of, there's just as much anxiety about what they look like, I would say. What we normally attribute to women.
Yeah. That I see that more and more happening too. Like we were talking again in the which really was like an interview. And I'm just going to say in our first interview, we were just talking about just how if you look at you pick up a woman's catalog, or you're in a store with mannequins, it's going to be all different sizes of mannequins for women. But for men, there's just one size. And I'm like, oh, are men going to start to have eating disorders and things like that? Because society is setting an expectation of thin and fitness that is now it's even more like men have one more thing now that they have to do and feel, oh gosh, I'm really like loving on men, because I feel like this is something is happening in society with men. And I'm just so glad that you're creating this space for them. So, okay. So tell me a little bit about the men you work with. Are they just from all walks of life?
Yep, they are from all walks of life. When I first started, I asked everyone I knew if I could draw them, and 3 guys said yes. And they were kind of from some workshops I'd done around sexuality and conscious sexuality, like tantra things. So I was like, okay, I'm in some groups, and I thought, okay, people might be into this. So I asked them, and 3 people, and I was like, oh no, how on earth am I gonna? This is never going to roll. So I went and drew drew the 3 of them, organized a little. Someone said it's like a naked man tour. Organized, took the train to one who was like 3 hours away, drew him, stayed the night, took the train to the next one, did a whole little thing. And then they all told some people, and then I had another 6. So it's been slow, and I did have a moment where my request got posted on quite a big Facebook group, and I had a massive avalanche of people like offering, but sometimes, there's a whole lot of winks emojis and aubergine emojis, and
right.
it's quite a thing to try and get across that this is not a sex request. This is actually this is an art project. I don't necessarily want artist models. I don't really want people who've done it all before, but I quite like normal guys, all ages, all orientations, who are on their own journey, who are interested in dismantling a bit of their own body shame. And when we find each other and we work together, it's a win-win. And that's my coolest combo. Yeah. So I kind of look.
Is that a common theme that they're on their own journey around some sort of body issues?
Yeah, some sort of body issues, some sort of shame. If you can imagine, what I think now is, if I've grown up with shame that cocks are bad, or that I shouldn't look at cocks, the men, that doesn't affect, that can't be just going one way. That's going all ways, right?
Right. Yes.
Or that, yeah, I don't,
Yeah, and it's like I can see that, because it's like everything that happens, like as we grow, like everything is completely natural and normal, right?
Yeah.
To grow breasts, to want to masturbate, right? Like all those things are so natural. So I can see where there is a lot of shame around that.
I don't have any specific memories, but I can imagine being a curious 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old, looking at something, reaching for something, and kind of being, even just like, apparently even us just seeing our mums or dads stop smiling at us, we get the message.
Right.
Like, don't do that.
Yes.
Because we'll lose out. We won't be loved if we do that. It's like just a few words, just a look. We learn fast.
Completely. Oh my gosh. So this started off as you were like, I'm going to do a 10-year, 100 people, 10 years. And you're like, no, I'm going to do 101 years.
Yeah.
So oh my gosh, because we know each other from a mastermind we're in. And I was really commending Michelle in our interview number 1 about just how she's stepping out and really getting out, and she's amazing. She's a natural on social media.
Aww.
So we'll share her handles later on so you can check her out. But she's doing it like through this discomfort, like every step I just did this video. It was really uncomfortable for me, but then you see it, you're just like, oh my God, you're just amazing. Like you're such a natural. So tell me how you decide to do that. Like, how do you work through that fear? And then how did you decide, okay, I'm just going to do it in a year? What was that moment where you were like, okay, I'm making this different change?
You know what? I was actually listening to the podcast about 10x is easier than 2x. That's what happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I was okay, I get it. Like 10x, so 10 years, that's not going to, going to do this quietly, whatever. And then I was like, what, 1 year? Do it in 1 year. And then I was like, far out. Then I'm going to have to start talking about it. And then I was like, the whole thing made me terrified and excited at the same time. Because I was just like, I'm going to take this seriously.
Yeah. So that is what I think like moving in alignment is, where even though it can feel like a little, it's like you're out of your comfort zone, right? You need to talk about this. You know that this is, just the whole issue around body image shames, the cocks, right? Like all of that. That's like you're out there talking about things that we're not supposed to be talking about. And so how's it going? How's it going?
It's been so surprising. I didn't realize there'd be so much interest. I didn't realize I'd have my 80-year-old neighbors asking me on the driveway, how's it going with the penises? I didn't realize I'd have, I didn't realize there would be
Oh, I love
like
that.
people wanting to, I did not realize people would be wanting to talk to me everywhere I went, sharing stories. And
Yeah,
this has
absolutely.
only been, I've only been doing this since August. And the
Oh
quality
my
of my
gosh.
conversations has gone skyrocketed. You know, people no longer, I no
Yeah.
longer have boring, I no longer have any boring conversations. People get straight to it. They tell me all sorts of,
Oh yeah. Oh, what do you do?
they tell me all sorts of
Oh, I'm a branding and marketing strategist. Oh, well, I draw cocks. I'm like, okay, you win. You win.
no, but obviously then you'd probably like to have a conversation about something. And then you know, it's just meant, it's a
Right.
conversation that everyone seems to have something to say. And
Right. Well, and I love that you're doing it too, just from the perspective of men as well, because that just I feel is, I don't know. I think that is from a conversation perspective, a connection perspective, again, because they are sort of ignored in so many ways. Like I interviewed a person for Curveball who is like this Southern, I mean, just this man, like this dude. And he had a son who died really unexpectedly. And he was a special needs son. I could manage my kids like a NASCAR pit crew, like a race car pit crew. And he said when his son died, he just, there wasn't anything for people like him.
yeah.
So then he created a grief community for men. And I was like, I can appreciate that. The society tells you like you're supposed to be the one holding it together. Like I think grief with men is so interesting. So I love that you're doing this work. So how many more do you have? I know you said you've drawn, but I'm assuming you have things scheduled. So have you hit your 100 person yet?
No, and so I've only
Your
got
100,
I've
like,
got a small list, you
okay.
know, it sort of rolls on. People, I draw them and then they talk to their friends and then I find a few more. Yeah,
Oh, is
what
it?
he was saying is like a lot of the men feel so relieved that they can just sit there and do nothing, you know, because usually they have to
Yeah.
do something. And I asked them all if they're willing to write something because in my mind, when I do an exhibition and have a catalogue, I'd like to have the drawing on one page and something that they write on the other. And the
Oh, I
things that
love
they write
that.
are so, I just blow my mind. Like, yeah, that they just were allowed to sit there and be, and don't have to do anything and don't have to solve any problems and they're accepted and they can just relax. And,
Yeah.
you know, that's kind of,
Oh my God. That is just so beautiful. So does it change your relationship then with men that you meet that you're not drawing?
yeah, I think basically it's like license to be curious about everything. That's what this project mostly is. It's like
Yeah.
curiosity, you know, giving myself permission to be curious. And then, you know, it's just you can start being curious about all sorts of things.
Well, I love the word curious actually. And because sometimes, well, because it's a very powerful word to unlock possibility in our brain. So when I work with my clients or students in my courses, a lot of people say my biggest struggle is or my challenge is, and those words we just have to reframe it, which is I am so curious to figure out. I'm so curious I have this challenge, right? But you're like, I'm so curious to see how in the world am I going to create like 55 emails by Wednesday, right? As opposed to be like, my biggest struggle is I have to write 55 emails. What you do is like when you use that word curiosity, your brain literally, you can't stop it. It's a physiological thing. Your brain starts planning for it. It starts figuring out like, well, how could we do that then? But if you're like, I'm struggling, your brain is like, nope, like we're now fighting now. Like now we're fighting with that internal battle.
You know, that is so true because if I just think I'm so curious about where I'm going to find the next 55
Right.
men, well, they just arrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that
Exactly.
I've got someone
It's
that,
funny how things work that way. I'm in a couple of masterminds and there's this one mastermind where I'm like in the kids table. Like a lot of people are way more successful than me. And so I really pay attention to how they ask questions. And they always, the two words that they use are curious, or they'll say, let's be wise about this. And I actually looked at the word wise. And when you just say the word wise, let's be wise about this, even better than let's be smart about this, let's be wise about this. People enter into, like, they create higher quality, better solutions.
Wow.
But curiosity, I was like, all these really successful people, they use the word curious all the time because curiosity too keeps you. I think last year I thought I might have ALS. I just had a ruptured aneurysm, but people were like, oh my God, that must have been like so scary for you. And it was surprising to me. Like, even when I was I had no idea what was going on. I was never scared because I was so curious to find out what was happening. That was my overriding emotion. And that really kept me out of some places that I think could have been sticky or could have thrown some like serious like that's the whole reason this is called curveball, but like even more curveballs if I tried to, set that aside. So what's interesting to me about this work is that you are well known for drawing trees and you set aside that work. So you loved this, you're well known for this. This is, and then you're like, no, now I'm doing something not only different, I'm doing something completely different. And so what is that? How did you do that? Because I think sometimes people think, especially when starting a business, oh, I have this corporate 9 to 5 job. I couldn't possibly like start something like when you're moving away from something that you're known for into the great unknown. Tell me how, why, and what's going on in the great unknown.
Well, right plonk in the middle, like in August, when the call came to write Radical Freedom. Was that August or July? Anyway.
Yeah, I think it was last July.
July. Part of me was like, yeah, I want to write about that. And I didn't really know what was going to happen, but I was figurative. Like I have some history with figurative painting. And then 20 years ago, I was painting these naked dancing woman paintings. And every time I painted figures, which is actually my love, I would say, why are they naked? Why do you have to paint naked people? Blah, blah, blah. I would have shame. I didn't realize it, but because that internalized shame was making me feel like I was doing something wrong. And I ultimately put them down, or I tried to put clothes on them, and I kind of shut down the energy. So I knew that I had some unfinished business with figurative painting.
Right.
And I just had no idea
now,
how I was going to do it.
That is, well, and then the good girl in you was probably just, well, that's right. Like I should do that. So have you seen all the stuff around the Grammys about Kanye West's wife who showed up at the Grammys with, seriously, she was completely nude. She had on just like a dress made out of a pantyhose, and everyone is going wild about it.
Wild in a good way?
Because she was just completely nude. No, wild in a, is she okay way? Like, that's not appropriate. Is he controlling her? All this stuff where, first of all, she has the most gorgeous body. If I had her body, I would be naked right now too. I'm just telling you. But because she showed her breast, like everything, you could see everything. And I just thought it's just, if you haven't seen it, you should take a look at it and just see some of the things that are going on because it's just fascinating to me because it is, I think women is, claim it, step out, do all these things, but don't show your tits and ass. You better not do that. And so it's just really interesting. And then she did it so publicly she is very much about body image, like positivity. And so she's, I guess, like basically like everyone should be nude all the time, and so it's interesting to see just like clutching their pearls moment. Like, I feel like America's like clutching their pearls. And I'm like, oh, America, shut up. You're such a slut. Like, we all know that, So.
Well, it's such a crazy double standard, isn't it? There's so much nudity everywhere, but it's all okay underneath the carpet.
Well, and I think what's so interesting is how much in movies there's so much female nudity, but you rarely see the cock.
Oh, I know.
Like now it's coming out more and more, like HBO, like there's this movie, there's a show on HBO called The Magnificent Gemstones or something. And I'm like, okay, HBO is making it their mission to show more frontal nudity
Yeah.
of the man too. And I'm like,
I think,
okay, good going, HBO.
yeah, and I think in the art world as well, the male nude is suddenly like being revisited because, yeah, it's crazy, insane how many. I was looking at this book on the nude, Kenneth Clark's kind of book on the nude, and there's just masses of females, and so hard to see a man, even a man's bum, in the National Gallery.
Right.
Yeah.
God, that is so true. That is so true. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I have absolutely. You know what?
Like, why is there no boy with the pearl? Why is there no boy with the pearl earring?
Well, I don't know if it's got to do with the fact that the women's, they haven't had much airtime, even like women's desires, like what women want to look at. It has me actually wanting to write, make a whole series of paintings and erotic paintings for women, because it's like there's such a huge empty space. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's your next 100 project. September, here we go. So now that you have stepped so fully and so beautifully, even like that's what I love is like when you are moving like really in alignment, which I sort of am understanding more. I think I would say, oh, I'm moving in alignment, but I think I was in moving what I thought was like the best decision. And this year I feel like I'm really moving in alignment. And what's interesting is I'm getting more by doing less. Like it's like they say, good things happen. It's so cool. And so it's like you have that momentum behind you, which when you said I was terrified, but I'm still doing it. And you also just made didn't you just make a commitment that you're posting a video every day for the rest of your life?
Trying to do that as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's amazing. So how have you changed, not as an artist, as an artist and as a human being, and then also as like a business person?
I think that I interviewed someone about shame recently, and they're like, when we get this message, like something that we're doing is bad, and it's kind of like hitting an electric fence, and we play smaller and smaller so that we don't hit the electric fence. And then when you do something that totally freaks me out, first of all, I've said I'm going to do this project. Then I've started doing social media. Both of these things totally freaked me out in the beginning. But when I do them and I think that the sky is going to fall on me, like I don't sleep some nights because I think surely I'm not going to get away with doing a post like that. And nothing happens. I go, oh, wow. It's like my play area just gets really big. I'm like, well, what would I like to do?
I love that. I know, because it feels like you're on like a high-rise building and and someone's, okay, you got to jump over from this high-rise building to this other high-rise building. Like you're in the movie The Matrix over this alley with like needles and like dirty diapers and like fighting dogs and stuff. And it really ends up in reality being way more like just stepping over a crack in the sidewalk. Like it ends up being more often than not nearly as big as what we thought it was. And then once you do it, it's like anything, you get better at it.
Yeah. And
have you seen yourself get better? Like even how you said you were improving your process with your subjects of your drawing.
Oh, yeah.
That you're like, I have to limit the amount of time because I know how much time I need to draw them. Yeah. So that's so cool.
Even like I just recently wrote a contract, which is to do with me writing the rules. I think in the beginning I was like, what are the rules? Or maybe I'm asking them what the rules are. I'm trying to I don't know, what are the rules anyway? And I was like, making a contract is me like saying, okay, I'm okay. Let's say clearly what it is that I want. And then they can say yes or no.
Yeah.
Easy.
Right.
And if it's just fear, then it's just my nervous system. Well, I've just discovered that doesn't need to. What happens is if I try it and nothing bad happens, then I go, oh, well, I just, like you just said, I just stepped from one tall building to the other tall building. I mean, there is a freak out, but basically it just gets easier. It gets so much easier.
Yes. I can tell you that I used to have this pattern of if I was bringing an offer or working with someone, like I would be so excited, like just have this pure excitement. And then if they said no, I would have the two feelings I would feel is I would first feel really embarrassed.
Yeah.
And then I would just feel like crushing disappointment. And so I have this offer that I just in the market right now. And I've been reaching out to people because it's a high ticket offer. So I've been reaching out to people directly. And I've had some people who are like, no. So I'm just like, A, do you want me to send you the website? B, do you want to hop on a call and talk about it? Or C, is it just not the right time? And let's just have a get together call. And so when people said C, I learned a couple of things. I learned I cannot believe in someone more than they believe in themselves. That was like hugely powerful. And then I also wasn't like, I was like, shoot, like that. I was sad that I wasn't going to be able to work with them, but I was really sad for them because I'm like, I just know they had this dream. It's just going to take them longer to get there. And so I was really feeling for them, not, oh, they're missing out, and I didn't have that crushing disappointment. Like I didn't have that cycle. And I was so surprised by that because I have done like a lot of, like we were talking about tapping before and like trauma work. And so I feel like all that work is really paying off now. So then when you're not bothered, like truly, I was not bothered because I'm like, I know my right people are going to find me. It's a high ticket offer. So I'm like, I want to sell 3 spots. And I sold 3 spots, which is like incredible. Now I feel like my spigot is on. I don't know. I just actually found this post that I reposted today from 8 years ago. And it said, fear. I'm sure I was so afraid of you, because it's not, I love that you're saying when I have fear, that's my nervous system, because I'm going to be thinking about that the next time, because that is when your nervous system is calmed down around my nervous system, I've been able to calm it down around this idea of reaching out and disappointment. And I realized I know exactly like where that came from and why I felt that way. But I was so curious when it was happening. And I'm just like, wait, why am I not crying right now? What's happening? That's a cool place to be where you feel still excited and happy and connected to that person. And in such a positive, no pressure way, I guess. Do you feel like
Totally.
that? Like that?
I think that's what I'm signing up for with writing this contract. It's like I'm making it really clear, and so that hopefully they get to see exactly what it is that I'd like.
Yeah.
And it might be a no.
I love it.
Or it might be a yes.
Yes.
I guess there's some trust.
Yeah.
We're talking about like we're trusting, aren't we? It's drawing lines in the sand, isn't it? And going, yeah, I trust that I'm going to find some.
Yeah. Like it is. Yes. Like I do have trust because I've had enough experiences with it where there are times where I'm just like with my business, I'm like, oh no, like I'm wrapping up a project and I don't have anything, like I don't have anything coming behind it. And you're just like, okay, well, it was great while it lasted, but now I'm going to have to go look for a job. And I was just like, oh, I can't, there's just no way. But like you get to that feeling and then something always invariably comes through. So now it's, oh, I can't wait to see what the universe comes up with for me because it always comes through. So I know that I'll be fine. And I always am. Like so then I know I can count on that. I know relying on the universe for your revenues is not necessarily the best. I'm not advocating as that being your business strategy. It just works for me. Yes. All right, Michelle. So if people want to be drawn, like you have to draw them in person, right? So they have to be, and then you're in New Zealand.
Oh no, yes. I'm in the UK.
Oh my gosh, in the UK. Why did I think
I'm in the UK? If there was enough people, I'm going to Europe later in the year to draw some people in Vienna.
Okay.
I come to America intermittently. I love coming to America actually. So, but my big thing is that I don't work with anyone who I haven't got any connection with. They have to be a friend of someone I know.
Oh, I see.
Or a friend of someone I've drawn. I don't work with total strangers.
Yeah, I could see. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. So if people want to find out, what is the name? It's called, what is it? Wait, what is it called? 100?
It's called, well, you can, I think the
100 Naked Men.
100, it's called the Naked Men Project.
100 Naked. Yeah, I love that. And how can they where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram. Give us your social media. You can look me up I'm Michelle Dovey Artist, or hashtags 100 Cocks, or hashtag Naked Man Project.
Hashtag 100 Cocks. Yeah, like without context. Oh my gosh. I am like so proud of you on so many levels. One, for just like realizing, having that moment in Florence and then saying, I'm going to solve this problem immediately, then collapsing your goal to do this work. And I just think it's going to be, I think you got to write a book about this, because I think that it's going to be so interesting. Your perspective, I could just see you like on TV shows, just saying, this is what I've learned from men, drawing 100
It's
cocks.
true. And even that whole thing about shame, saying the word cock, like one of my dear friends said, her mum loves following my cock project, and she's never ever heard her mum say the word cock before. And it's like, that's what's happening. Like people suddenly feel like they've got permission to say the word cock whenever they want to. How's Michelle's cock project?
Yes, I love that. I'm going to start saying cock. I'm not going to call it a dick. I'm just going to say cock. Cock, your cock. Ooh, did you hurt your cock? Ooh, did that hurt? Yeah, I don't know. Do you have any, I guess, like I have a son who's 24, and I know you have I don't know.
Yeah, I
do you
have a son who's 18 and a daughter who's 16.
Okay. So like I talk about sexuality and sex and body issues a lot with my daughter, because I feel, again, society. But what are some things like I could be talking about with my son? I don't want to say, because I don't want to talk about it. Like I told my son, I said, I want to know everything about your life except your sex life. I don't want to know anything. Don't tell me anything. Because he was because I'm like, don't order your condoms on my Amazon Prime account, even though I am glad he's responsible. But anyways, what are some things? I guess I shouldn't say things like that. Don't tell me about your sex life. Like that would be starting there.
Or say, I think the point is talking about anything. Like, I'm so glad you're ordering condoms, actually.
Yes, I am really glad but then I'm just like, get her on some birth control, because it's going to feel so much better.
Well, I guess that's an interesting conversation.
Yes. He's just like, I don't like
I don't know. I think all of these things, I had this thing the other day where I was like, my daughter's 16. She follows me on social media. And I said to her, listen, so I said to her, sorry, so I'm doing all this stuff, and she was like, Mom, I love what you're doing. You know what? I love what you're doing. I know it's important. Sometimes I don't want to, I'm just at that age where I just don't want to see a whole lot of cocks, but, oops, probably shouldn't be saying.
I'm just at that age.
I'm at the age where I don't necessarily.
That would be the funniest thing. Mom, I'm just at that age where I just don't want to see a lot of cocks.
I don't want to see a lot of cocks.
Maybe when I'm 18.
Well, the thing is, I also know as a young woman, she's been sent unsolicited dick pics for years. So it's a whole, it's like, that's a whole territory, right? So I love what you're doing. Yes. Sometimes I just don't want to, she's just managing it. So yeah.
Right. I cannot even imagine, like the first like fully naked man that was not like one of my brothers was in an art class at Ohio State. Okay. And this man and I was just like, I did not know what to do. Oh yeah. You want to talk about gaze avoidance. And then he sat down like right in front of me. So I was just like, it was too much for my little 18-year-old brain. I was just like, I had no idea they were going to be new. Like, I thought it was going to be like high school art class. Like, I had no idea. I was just like, I drew he had these like Ray-Ban, like Wayfarer glasses. So I drew his eyeglasses, and I also drew his hands. I was like, I can't look. I just couldn't.
Well,
so I can see what you mean.
You know what I'm talking about then?
Yes, totally.
I've spoken to...
Okay, I'm just going to make sure the next time I see my husband, I'm going to look at him to the point that hey, my eyes are up here. Yes.
Oh, there's so much.
Oh my God. Michelle Dovey, amazing artist, amazing human being, amazing business owner, amazing drawer of 100 nude men. Thank you for being on Curveball.
Thank you, Heather.